you for tuning in to one more of our episode here at Five Star Realty Podcast. This is Camilla from MCN Marketing Firm, your favorite host. And today I have the pleasure and the honor to have a very special guest, my brother, Jean Salazar. Welcome. He said yes to the podcast, so we'll see how it goes. John, welcome, 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 welcome.
Thank you so much for having me.
It's a pleasure to have you in the studios. He thought it was a house. He was like, "Oh, this was a house." And no, and he walked in, and what do you saw? What was the first impression?
I mean, honestly, I'm just so impressed. I mean, I've seen the videos, I've been following you guys for a while, and I've been seeing your videos, and I knew that it was so high production, but I didn't know where this took place. So I'm just fascinated with this space, and I'm honored to be here, with Five Star Realty for this episode, and I'm so excited that I get to be interviewed today by my very own sister. We shared the same womb.
So, this gentleman right here, to me, he's very successful. He's a role model. Although I'm the oldest one, he teaches me every day. And I told him, and I said, "Listen, John, you have an amazing story to tell, and you will find out why if you stay here with us." John, take us back to your childhood. Obviously, we share common the house and everything else. I know it pretty well, but maybe I don't know certain things really deep in his heart. And I know that from interviews that you had when you were doing Mr. USA. Tell us back to your childhood. Where do you grow up? Start from there. Where do you grow up, and how was one of the good memories of your childhood? And we take it from there.
Yeah, so I think everything starts out, where my true home is, and that is, being born in Colombia, and which to me is, I feel so honored and grateful to have been born in such a beautiful, humble country. And I emphasis on the humble because it's so beautiful, but I think, there's a lot of challenges socially in regards to people growing up in a country like Colombia, because it is a development country, it is a third world country. And with that comes a lot of adversity, if you will, especially, for someone like me who is not your stereotypical Hispanic man, right? And by that, I mean, your typical heterosexual, Hispanic man. That came with a lot of adversity because it is a third world country. People are not, the most up to date with societal norms, and that was really rough. But at the same time, I didn't know that at the time. But growing up in a very loving and humble family was truly what I look back on the most. Really seeing. Growing up with a mother that I just always saw her working, and she was not perfect. Our family was not perfect and very, very much broken. But, mother, she always made it work. She was so hardworking, being a nurse, real estate, owning stores, selling apartments, houses, cars, you name it. And that's where the work ethic truly was put towards me. And I learned that. And then really the biggest sacrifice she made was to bring us here. And now that I'm older, to leave your family at 30 something years old and bring your two little ones into a brand new country and where you don't know the language. At 27 years old, I can't imagine doing that. First of all, being a father of two, and just moving to, I don't know, bumfuck nowhere, in Europe, and not knowing any of, that language. I can't imagine doing that right now. And the fact that my mom did that for us because she knew our struggles deep down, and she knew that we needed something more than our humble Colombia. I mean, I'm just, the older I get, the more I realize. And growing up was hard, but at the same time, I felt very loved. And I just feel so fortunate to now, 17, 18 years later, to be here and be able to tell that story, because I don't
Right.
know what life would be in Colombia for me. It would be very different. I don't think it would be bad. It would just be very different. And I don't think I would have the opportunity that and maybe you, I don't want to speak for you, but the opportunity that you may have had as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Of course, it's a tough country from, I believe, from Central America, South America, tough countries. But I think they're so filled in with so much culture, so much love, so much union, right? That we're going through stuff in our countries, but we don't know we're going through stuff until we come to other countries
Hmm.
and have a better or much quality life, right? So for those that don't know, our parents got into a divorce when I was just 4 years old and my brother was only 1 year old. How this divorce situation affected and how you overcame the situation with our parents?
I think it was hard for many years, and I really didn't get over it until my teenage years. I think it's rough for anyone growing up in a family, in a broken family with a single mother and seeing dad once in a while and really not understanding. I think all we ever hoped every Christmas was that our parents would be back together, and we didn't really understand that. But I think that taught me that life is not perfect. Life is not how you want it to be, and you just have to make it work. You just make it work. And my mother, she made it work by herself. I still don't know how she did it by herself, but she did. She did it by herself, and we turned out decent.
I mean, we think we're pretty okay.
We turned out okay, but other than that, she did it all by herself, and it's just, again, the older I get, the more I realize how. I mean, I can't imagine having a child right now, and to raise them by yourself without a partner, So, but growing up with a divorce, it was hard. I mean, now I understanding, and now I'm like, okay, well, relationships don't work out, but this is me now as a 27-year-old. As a child, it was traumatizing. As a child, it was like, where is my fatherly figure? Mom had to be everything, but she couldn't be that fatherly figure. She did the best she could, but she couldn't have that. I would get dad on the weekends, but it was more like hanging out with him. It wasn't like, having a fatherly figure present day to
Mhm.
day. So, you know,
Do you remember my mother using the bathroom and having to pee standing up so that she teaches you that man pees standing up? Do you remember that or no?
yeah, because my stupid ass would sit in the toilet. And now I'm older, like I sit in the toilet sometimes simply because I don't want to, have to do so much cleanup with the toilet bowl.
Yeah.
But yeah, I remember that she did a lot of things to try to, you know, really make me understand,
How men acts.
basics,
Yeah.
basics of being a man in society.
Right. Shout out to those mothers that are single mothers and their mom and dad for those kids and that are doing what our mother did, right? And only the people that go through these situations, they truly know what it feels like. Any any chain, any family chain habits that you now at 27-year-old say, I need to cut those chains from our past, from our family, not carry it for future?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, this year I've just been going through a lot of what I call reinvention and reinventing myself. And that was my word for last year when I went through a really difficult time in my love life. And that taught me a lot. But again, that word keeps coming up for me this year. It's in a little bit of a different form. And by that, I means happiness, chasing happiness. But with that comes a lot of self-advocating. And by that, I mean, there's a lot to unpack. But with that, I mean, with self-advocating is really this year has been a lot of me setting appropriate boundaries
Mm.
in order to achieve what is best for me and my life and my future. But most importantly, what is best for my happiness. I think that in a very we grew up in a very loving, humble country, where, family is everything and most importantly, everything. But with that comes a lot of not just in our family, but in our culture, really comes a lot of mayhem, if you will, a lot of, chaos at the same time, because everything is such a gray line, and sometimes you have to learn how to, where is the fine line, and where do I set certain boundaries, and where do I start doing something for me and not for pleasing society. And I think I pretty much grew up always with like, you gotta do what society tells you, and you gotta do what's gonna please others. And this year has been a lot of putting my foot firm in the ground and saying, this is hard, this is difficult, but I need to do this for myself, because if I don't have this, if I don't do this now, I may not have the future that I want later. And growing up again in a culture like we did, I was never taught like, you need to stand up for yourself, like you need to do what's right for you. It's more of like, what's right for the society, like what's right for everybody else. And that was hard for me because I grew up not being able to say no. Like no was not an option. It was more like, yes, Jean, you will do this. And like, yes, I will do that. Yes, I will do that. Yes, I will do that. And then now that I'm older, I'm like, oh my God, holy shit, I don't know how to say no. Like, I don't know how to say no.
John, so you talked about the difficulty of you saying no, right? That no was not an option. When we talk about sex preference, right? Your sexuality. I remember you not being really fully able to make that decision of, I'm going to talk to my family. It was more like my mother finding out while I was showering, and she comes with the phone and she's like, what is this stuff? Like this text messages that he had. And of course, he was experimenting and learning about himself. And you not
For the
having.
gay people at home, it's called Grinder.
Well, I didn't
So
even
if you
knew that.
if you know, you know.
I didn't even know that. I knew there was apps, of course. Like I'm older than him, and I had used these apps before. But like, I knew my brother since he was little that he was different. He was different, but because we grow up in a culture where that it's not normal, right? That it's not acceptable because we're Catholics, and and so many things that comes behind this stuff. But
So much prejudice and adversity, really.
correct. I think my mother finding out here in the United States was the best thing that happened, although she almost jumped out of the window.
Yeah, no,
Remember,
she
we lived
really
in
did.
Portland.
Yeah. I mean, I remember that very clearly. Yeah.
So now at 27-year-old, would you want it to be different? Would you want it my family finding out different? But what you guys don't know is that after like the bomb went out, he actually flew home because her biological father was still there, and he told our family. But that very first step, why what first of all, when do you find out that you didn't like girls? And how long did it took you to like convince yourself, okay, this is who I am? And would you want it to be differently the way we find out?
I I think I always knew I was different. I mean, I don't know that 8 years old you can put it into words and say I am a homosexual. I don't think anyone can really put that into place uh, at such a young age. I think I always knew I was different because of being bullied and being, in school. Just, I mean, even when I was in elementary school, just, like, why do you run like that? And literally the secretary and the principal calling my parents and have a meeting
And they were calling
because
me out of the class all the
because
time.
of the way that I was running,
Mm-hmm.
and because I
I
wasn't running
remember.
like a man, I was running like a girl, and just being like being so confused, like why are we having a meeting about the way I'm running? And then, just constantly having to be changed and constantly having to uh, just evolve in a way to please society. Not what I want, not what I desire, not what I want to do, but what is best for society and what is best for the family, not me. So I always grew up with like, no, it's not what's best for you, it's what's best for everybody else. And now that I'm older, I can see the trouble that brought because it prevented me from being at my most I call it self-actualized, independent, autonomous self. And an autonomous, self-actualized, independent person can say no, and that's that. I don't need to explain. I don't need to say why. It's just no, And I think, like for example, you learn that since a very young age. Like you have always been so tough. When I look at you, I've always looked at you as like very stern and very firm and very independent and very like no. Like you have no problem saying that. So I don't know where the miscommunication happened. But I don't know why I turned out like this. And not that it's a bad thing. It's just, it's just going to take you a little bit more time to learn that. You learn that at a very young age and you are very firm and you do what you want to do. And if you say no, it's no. And then no one can take that away from you.
It's just we have different characters. That's what it is. We're built differently. And although we come from the same wound, like it's we're never going to be the same. In general, siblings. But you have done an amazing job because for you to like, okay, the bomb came out like that. My mother almost jumping out of the window. My or stepfather came with the Bible. I remember.
Came with the Bible.
And
I was working at Dunkin' Donuts, and then I was working with my best friend Autumn. We were supposed to close together.
Oh my God, you knew Autumn since then?
I knew Autumn said we were supposed to close together. We got there at 3 p.m. We were supposed to close at 10. It was like 4 p.m. And then my parents came and dragged me out. It was so traumatic and dysfunctional, so unnecessary, but it happened. And they came into Dunkin' Donuts, just took me away.
I remember I had to translate.
Audie had to close Dunkin' Donuts by herself. I don't think she's forgiven me for that.
Oh man!
After over 10 years,
I didn't know you knew her since then.
Yeah, she trained me in the night shift, cleaning the sandwich station.
Anyways, I give you kudos because after that situation, you stood firm and you're like, no, it's not changing. My mother was like, maybe you're confused. You're like, I am not confused. Like, this is who I am. You take it or leave it. But what I really admire until today's day is the fact that you flew to Colombia and you told the whole family, I'm different and this is what's up. But anyways, what will you advise to the people that haven't been able to confront their families or to just accept themselves? Because there is a lot of people out there that live a miserable life, getting married, having kids, and that's not who they are and that's not what they want. What would you tell to these people?
Well, this is gonna sound very cliche, but honestly, it just comes back. And but there's cliches still exist today because there is truth in that. There is truth in them. You have to be yourself, and there's so much more to unload with that. But you have to be yourself. You have to be yourself because you want to advocate for yourself. And also, a good friend told me, you're going to upset people anyway. So you might as well do it because you're going to upset. You can't please everybody. So you might as well do it because people are going to be upset with you for one thing or another. People are going to be angry and upset and bitter. You can't please everybody.
Yeah. So, well, thank you for sharing that. Not only having to confront the family about his sexuality at 9 years old and me being 12, we had to immigrate to another country, the United States. How it was a lot of moving parts, right? You were not, the family didn't know about your sexuality yet. once we moved in here. But let's talk about immigrating to another country now. Do you knew what was happening, or do you just thought that we were going on a trip?
I mean, first of all, I'm just utterly confused. How they did not know that I was like, I don't know what kind of blindfold they had. I mean, you've always known everything, but I that just still shocks me till this date is how they didn't know. But anyway, no, at 10 years old, I didn't understand why we were leaving home, why we were selling all our furniture, why our family was sad. I didn't know a word of English coming here. I mean, besides the gibberish that I would hear watching Disney Channel as a kid. So no, I didn't understand. And then, so you you take a child out of their habitat, put them in a new habitat, and then now I'm like facing backlash for things that I can't control, like being Hispanic and being more feminine than other children, and then not knowing English, and then kids just really kids had a ball with that. Kids had a lot of fun with that. Um, I was quite the punching bag for that, but that came with backlash. But I didn't really understand why we were moving and the reason why. Now at 27, I understand. My mother wanted a much better future for us, and Colombia is a beautiful country. It's a gorgeous country, but it has a lot of work in progress that I don't know that it's ever going to get fixed. But and I'm not trying to be pessimistic. It's just sort of what the reality has been over the decades. And looking back, I'm just honestly, if anything, I'm just grateful. I'm grateful for everything, and I don't think I would have changed anything, because every single struggle that I've been through has made me tougher, has made me stronger, and has made me realize that there's a lot for me to be grateful about, and to be in a country where I can be a free gay man, and to do what I want to do, and to pursue marriage, at least for now, in November 2025. Our political, not to get political, but our political situation is truly evolving, so rapidly that it is things are unfortunately changing. But for right now, I could still get married if I want to, and I would love to pursue that in the future. And I don't know that it would be that easy for me to be my independent self, true self, Colombia. So
Absolutely not. It would have been a lot. It would have been a chaos.
mhm.
It would have been very, very tough, because society just makes it tough, makes it think that it should be different. It's not as so acceptable. Maybe it had changed a little bit now. But still, like I still see people not comfortable seeing two men kissing each other. Why not? Love is love. But anyways, so now all the situations in your life, and there is a lot more because we're gonna touch into the love life. My brother has been engaged twice, more than me, man. I was lucky I got engaged once and got married. This gentleman right here, he's has stuff. He getting engaged every 3 years. Anyways, having all these situations, do you think that you were fortunate to go through this so that it has shaped the person that you are now?
Absolutely. And again, I don't take anything back. Yes, I've been engaged. I've been engaged twice, and I'm not ashamed to say that, because guess what? Life happens. Ideally, you want to be engaged once, you want to be married once, and you want the perfect cookie cutter house and cookie cutter life. Well, guess what? That's not going to happen, because life is not that way. However, I don't take back any of the experiences I've had, because now I know what I was looking for, in a person. Now I know, okay, there's been uh, a handful of men that have come through my life, and fortunately, it has not worked out. But I have learned from those experiences, and I've been able to take them, reflect, and make sure I don't make that same mistake again.
Mm-hmm.
That is wisdom right there. That is someone, a very young person, earning wisdom of life, and you can't buy that anywhere. Unfortunately, you have to go through it yourself in order to earn that wisdom. now I know what I'm looking for in a relationship. Now I know what I'm looking for in a man. Now I know how to catch certain red flags that may not be so good for me. And now I know what I'm looking for in a partner. And I'm very fortunate today that now I have that, now I have a special someone in my life that, is so,
It's okay. Shout him out. Tell
well,
his
his name,
name.
his name is Joshua Murphy.
Look him up if you want. Very handsome
Yeah,
guy.
it's a very handsome guy. He actually owns an auto detailing shop in New Milford.
The best one in Connecticut.
Yep.
And if you have not been there yet, you're missing out from customer service, good looking guy washing your car. Damn, let me tell you.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, so it's called Reflection X Detailing Studio. It's based out of New Milford. And when I met this man, it was like it changed my life because I realized I was in a bubble that I did not know where I was going, in terms of my love life. I didn't know what I needed. I didn't know what I wanted. And I thought that I wanted and what I needed was where I wanted to be, and it wasn't. And when you meet someone and when you don't have to really compromise, when you don't have to bend your arm, when you don't have to put so much into the table, it just comes naturally. That's when I realized, oh my God, holy shit, like this is a relationship that's not taking so much out of me simply because it's making me happy. I'm chasing my happiness. And without those previous experiences, without those prior two engagements, I don't know that I'd be able to look at Joshua today and realize what I have in hand. I don't think I would be able to. I think I would just look at him and be like, oh yeah, you're cute and everything. You're all right, I guess. I think that's just how I would probably look at that because I don't know, you know, other stuff that's out in the world. And I don't know that, oh my God, what I have right in front of me is so valuable and meaningful. You can't fuck this up. You can't like fuck this up. Like this is someone that you want to keep in your life because you are that much happy. And everything to be flowing the way you want it to. I mean, yeah, it's been going faster than usual, but again, the unit of measurement we're using is society. And guess what? There's over 340 million people in this country. There's not one way of doing things. There's not the perfect way of doing things. I mean, some people would like to think so, but my life is my life and no
That's
one
it.
has the life that I have. We're all so unique. So why should all 340 million people in this country or the billions of people in this world use that one unit of measurement in order to see and evaluate how their life is going?
Right.
So for me, my unit of measurement is my happiness at this point. That's what I learned this year. That is my unit of measurement. And that's what I want to evaluate whether things are working out or not. Am I happy? And looking back, I thought I was happy, with my, previous partners. But now I truly know what that entails. I truly know, I got to know that unit of measurement very well. And I could not be any happier. And that's what it comes down to.
When you said now I know, meaning what is one key factor that a relationship must have now that you're experiencing a healthy, mentally healthy, spiritual healthy relationship? What's one word, how you can describe this one thing that a relationship must have in order to be successful?
You shouldn't have to sacrifice so much for you to be with someone. And if you are sacrificing that much to be with someone, you're probably not happy and you probably need some kind of reality check, at least in my world. And again, I'm not saying sacrifice like no, absolutely. Like you need to sacrifice, right? Like you may have to move closer. You may have to, make changes in your life, but that are also positive for you. And for me, that one factor has been really just looking back on it and just being so happy and so excited to to be with someone that making changes does not feel like a huge sacrifice. Like I'm losing out of this in my life in order to be with you. It doesn't have to be that deep. It doesn't have to be that that wild. And again, like that's just how it worked for me. It doesn't mean that's the same case for you or for
No,
everybody
I think
else.
I think it makes a lot of sense. You don't have to sacrifice so much in order for you to be loved and for you to see results. Because
Exactly.
if you are putting yourself living with somebody, right? If you're living with somebody or spending time is it's money. Time is so much time is very valuable. And you're putting a lot of time into relationships, and it should be for you to receive love, for you to be happy, for you to progress, right? If we have somebody in our life, is to add value to our life for us to progress, not to keep us, you know, going backwards. So I am very happy. I love Joshua. We all love Joshua. I think out of everybody that you have met, he has been one of the ones that are, focused and entrepreneur. I seen him, when you were to the Mr. USA competition, how worried he was, and him being present. And there is a difference between somebody that it's there to support you money wise and somebody who's there to support you entirely in all type of situations. So I'm very
Yeah.
happy.
I think you mentioned, like, thank you. I think you mentioned like being present, and that's what it is. You want a partner that's going to be present for you. You don't have to ask them. That's another thing. It's like you don't, like someone good in your life, you don't have to ask them to be there for you. You don't have to ask them, if you do this for me, like I will do this for you. Like they're just there. Like it's just, there's no other option. There's nothing else. They're just there. And to get that attention and to get that love without asking for it, that was a first for me. Really, that was a first for me in over 20 years, of my life. That I don't have wait, like I don't have to ask to be loved by you. Like I don't have to,
Wow.
I don't have to ask you to be present, and then you're gonna be in the corner with a resting bitch face, and then
Yeah.
I'm gonna feel guilty, like, oh my God, what a horrible thing that I asked him to be here.
Mm-hmm.
Like they're just gonna be
Mm-hmm.
here. I mean, just like this morning, we didn't talk about him coming with me here. I was just like, Josh, if you want to come, great. If not, you can stay. And he's like, no, like I want to come. But and it didn't feel like, oh my God, you're taking time out of my day. And like it, no, like someone that truly loves you wants to be there for you and wants to
Absolutely.
support you, and it should be reciprocal.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for sharing that. For those that don't know, John is a registered nurse. You've been a registered nurse for how long?
5 years.
5 years now. He is a professional model, actor, pianist, and let me be proud of all of this, please, because he's like, oh, don't talk about that. Oh, I don't like to mention that stuff. But to me, successful is not the one that has money or the best cars. To me, this gentleman right here is successful because not only did he battle the gay situation, immigrating to another country, all the issues that we go through with society, being Latino, and now you falling in love with the healthcare system. He went and competed he's Mr. Connecticut 2025, and he went and compete for Mr. USA last month or 2 months ago
In August.
in
Late
August.
August.
And you were the only candidate that competed for an actual good an actual good reason, and it was to advocate for the nurses, right? Can
And
you
for the
tell us
healthcare system.
can you tell us a little bit more of this, please?
Yeah, so I went onto this competition called Mr. USA, where I took it very seriously. I took it sort of like a um, like a job, and I had this wonderful team, 14 photo studio, that really helped me out to
Yeah, shout out to Ricardo and
Ricardo and Samuel.
Samuel.
Yep, and they really helped me out putting the visual aspect of it and helped me with a lot of managerial stuff that went into forming a campaign.
Mm-hmm.
And that's really what it was. We formed a campaign in 6 months, and we wanted to do that, not just for that competition, but to really raise awareness. And that's truly what the campaign was about. It was about raising awareness. No one gave me a platform. No one gave us an outline. Oh, you need to form a campaign. In fact, nobody did a campaign, and I was shocked by that. I was the only one that I was like, well, let me make a campaign, and it was a project. I actually had so much fun with that, and we went. We did photo shoots. We did. I got to make so many speeches. At film festivals and conferences and conventions and stuff like that, and I really got to practice my public speaking and actually found out for the first time that I love being in a crowd and I love presenting and being a leader with public
I
speaking.
remember the first one, you were like, please help me, because I take public speaking classes with Warm Heart Life. And I have a mentor, shout out to Brandon. Uh, but when he went and, spoke in front, he went on stage, I'm like, wait, what? This doesn't look and sounds like somebody that just started.
Yeah,
So you're pretty good.
because I loved it, but I was so nervous. And when you are nervous about something, you must really care about it. And
Mm-hmm.
for me, I was so nervous, but it was not nerves that were impeding me from accomplishing. It was nerves that were empowering me
I
to
know,
accomplish.
I know that a lot of things happen in this competition because Joshua told me. He was a reporter. What was one of the most what was one of the things that you were like, oh no, like I don't belong to this competition?
Yeah, there were a lot of things. I mean, really the participants were great. I mean, most of them, and I really want to emphasize on most of them, were truly good, like hardworking people, like boy next door kind of guys. And so many came from, really inspiring places. They were born to nothing and then they were something. Uh, One of my favorite ones was uh, Evan, and he's an OBGYN, and like to be in a room with him, it's like, oh my God, you are so intelligent and you are a surgeon and you went to med school and like, we're both in the healthcare field and really such a nice person, like very openly gay and, such a beautiful man
Mm-hmm.
and just so inspiring, and when I would hang out with him, in the competition, you can tell that he was also taking it seriously. Like he was, we're gonna do this, we're gonna do that, we're gonna do that. But then on the other hand, there were some
A
other
lot of
participants.
controversy, right?
Yeah, a lot of controversy because I think there were just cliques. It was like there were like over 30 of us, and believe it or not, most of them were like heterosexual straight men, and so the minority again was the gay participants, and there were like a small amount of us there, and I think it was very prominent. It was at least to me. Maybe some of them may feel differently, but in my opinion, how I felt was it was very like divided up into the different cliques and into the different kinds of people, and that's just how it simultaneously developed. Uh, and I did feel a lot of homophobia, in the
Oh,
in the competition, and it was very known that guys were making jokes and making fun of how some of us gay males like behave and talk and all of that, and like a lot of gay
I
jokes.
remember
And
they were bullying him because you were in TV your whole campaign.
yeah, some of them were like, oh my God, like you were on TV and like you did so, like kind of like insinuating that, like, oh my God, you were so extra, you did so much. And I was like, well, I'm sorry that I came prepared,
Yeah, of
like I'm
course, you took
sorry
it
that,
serious.
like I thought it was a serious competition.
Mm.
And the sad reality is it really wasn't. It really wasn't. And I'm grateful for the experiences. I'm grateful for having something to look forward to, even though it wasn't how I wanted it to be or how I expected it to be. I'm grateful for myself that I had something to look forward to, and therefore I made a campaign along with my team. And I'm grateful that I made that happen, because now I look back on my campaign, and really, Mr. USA, they didn't send me an outline saying you're gonna go to Channel 3 News, and then 2 weeks later you're gonna go give a speech, and then no one said that.
You did it.
I
And
had to
your
do that for
community
myself.
believed in it because Connecticut, like I was in shock, like how much support you had.
I had a
And
lot of support.
and it was shocking that he didn't pass to the 20, what is it, the final
Yeah, like
20,
the top 20.
the
Yeah.
top 20, because that was just ridiculous. Like I followed the other candidates. There were some decent that did some sort of promotion, but John went all out. And I think, again, having a mother that always went all out for us, it's the way that we grew up, right? Giving your 200%, not your 100%. What is one thing that you're like, okay, this competition wasn't really what I was expecting? He's too classy. He was way too classy for that competition because it was like kids. Like I felt like the whole scenario was like college kids just
No, it just felt high school. It just felt really, it was like very disorganized. Like there was no structure to it. It just felt very high school,
but
It just,
what would be one good thing that you got out of this besides the experience and the exposure? It was a good exposure because you did it yourself. Like you exposed yourself as a registered nurse, as a model, as a panelist here in Connecticut. So I think you got a lot more following in your social media too.
yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
what's one good thing that you're like, okay, like, you know what? It was shitty, but
Some of the participants have
okay.
really
So the
influenced my life.
connections.
Yes, the connections I made there. I mean, one of the superstars to me in my head was Shane O'Brien, and he's actually Mr. World. I think he's the runner up, and he is like a he's like a everybody's friend, and just
Hmm.
genuinely such a nice guy. Like I was just in awe. Like he did so well in everything, and so witty and so friendly and so funny, and it was just like, to him it didn't like sexuality or looks or anything, like nothing. I don't think any of that was in his head. I think he was just like, I just want to have a good time, I just want to do my best and have a good time, and
Good.
that's just sort of the attitude that he brought forth. And I love that, I love that about him. And something, when I lost, and he hadn't, we did, he passed on to the next stage, but he didn't know that he was going to be Mr. World. And that shocks me even more. He hugged me and he said, this competition is really subjective. Like it really, it's just who they think is going. He mentioned
Mhm.
something like, it's who they think is better out there on stage with the 5 minutes of fame, but it really doesn't define. Just because you win, it doesn't mean that you are the best individual out of all of
No,
us.
there's so much work you have to do in
Yeah.
order to maintain that title. Um,
And but then he also said, and just because, even if you're the last one, the first one out, it doesn't mean that you were completely um, unqualified or disqualified, or like
mhm.
not presentable to be in this competition. So I think that in my head put like, okay, maybe this is Mr. USA standards, but it doesn't mean, because I lost, it doesn't mean that
Right.
I'm a shitty person or I wasn't good enough. It's just subjective. It's just what 10 individuals judges. It's just it was truly about what 10 people in the whole world thought was good enough to keep going.
Hmm.
But then it also came down to the money too. So many of those folks made it to the top 10, some of them to the top 5, simply
Because
because
the voting.
of the voting. And the
Yeah.
voting,
And you had to buy votes.
yeah, you have to buy votes, and you can buy as many as you want. And they were doing like happy hour times 2, happy hour times 3, happy hour times 4. And, for someone like me who doesn't have the biggest, doesn't have 20,000 followers, 100,000 followers, for someone like me that doesn't have that much following or resources to get votes, yeah, like the voting is not going to help me, and that was for a lot of us. And it really comes down to two things: what 10 people, meaning 10 judges, what 10 judges think should be the next big thing, and also who has the most money, who has the most money, who has the most sponsors that are willing to give you that money.
Just a
And
quick
so,
advice to the people that go through this type of competitions. Like, this was a national competition. This was not something local. And it's nerve-wracking. It's a lot of preparation. And I known of people that they lose and they want to kill themselves, What's a good advice to tell these people that, hey, you might win, you might lose?
I think really just go in it and just be yourself, like Miley Cyrus says, just be yourself and have fun. Because it's just, at the end of the day, I look back again, I got to be in LA, and there were a lot of things that went wrong. I mean, they promised reimbursements. They promised me that they were going to pay me back for my flights and the fares and all of these things.
Talk.
And till
Let me
this
not
day,
talk.
they still haven't sent any reimbursements. I've sent multiple emails. I mean, I'm pretty much at this point humiliating myself and begging to get the $500 of an airfare.
Yeah, let's ask our
But
audience, maybe if they see this episode, if they can share this part. We need the reimbursement, people.
yeah, I mean, like at this point, like whatever, if they want to keep the money, that's on them. But in my head, it's more like I got to go to LA, and I was saying like, oh, I get a free trip. Well, I don't get to say that, but I get a trip that I paid for myself to go to LA. I mean, I love California. I've been there 3 or 4 times now, and I loved it. And I got to meet wonderful, people in the competition, and wonderful connections and networking. And I saw it, now looking back, I saw it as like, I just got to go to LA and go on stage and do the best I can and represent my state and represent,
And you did it
something.
proudly.
Yeah, I did it proudly because I really wanted to raise awareness for nurses and the broken healthcare system, because we do have a very broken healthcare system that it's only getting worse. And I just wanted to represent that, and I just wanted to raise awareness. And unfortunately, healthcare and nurses was not on the radar, which is a very specific thing. So I understand that part, but at the same time, I just look back on it and I was like, I had a great vacation with my man, and then my parents came, our parents came, and then we got to show them more of LA, and then Joshua rented a car, and then we just spent 4 extra days going to Beverly Hills and Santa Barbara and just
And
really
created
having a
great
vacation.
memories.
And
Yeah.
I look back on it very sweetly as like, I got to vacation with my family, and I got to, go back to California, which is my favorite place on earth.
It was so unfortunate that I couldn't go because of being pregnant. My first trimester was not easy. But John, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for making the time in your busy schedule to sit and talk with your sister in public.
Yeah.
I just really, truly believe that you're very successful. We all go to struggles, like we were talking with Josh on our way in here. And I think you're a role model. And I think that your story can inspire and motivate others, especially those that haven't felt okay or haven't had the courage to come out and say, I'm a lesbian, or I'm gay, or I'm bisexual. And I think you bring in a lot of value in this episode for everybody who is struggling with that situation, for anybody who, feel humiliated by, going to this type of competitions. Just to close here, what do you think your legacy, what do you want your legacy to be?
That's a good question, actually. I want my legacy to be um, a, a, a memory or a message that embodies following your happiness.
Great.
Again, to be able to reinvent yourself in multiple different versions, multiple different ways, just to reach your happiness. And that is that is what I want my legacy to be. I want someone to look back on my life and say he did that just so he could be happy and be independent and be the
Good.
best version of himself.
I
And
love that.
that's what I want to embody, and that's what I want to be remembered by is he did this for his happiness, no other motive behind. It's just
Good.
your happiness, because we only have one life and life is so short. And I'm learning, as I'm reaching 30, that like I blinked and I blinked one time and I was 18, and then I blinked twice and now I'm like 27. I don't know how that happened, but it happened. And now it's just like I need to do whatever I need to do to chase my happiness, and that's what I want to
Thank you.
embody.
That's
So-
beautiful. I'm very proud of you. More than honor that you're my brother, that you're in my life. And if I could have you in the next lives, if we get to live more lives, I would love for you to be my brother. Keep me in your list, okay?
Thank you so much. I will definitely take that into consideration.
Please look at this camera. Give a quick shout out to whoever mentor in your life, and also share your social media. If you want to connect with this handsome, registered model, panelist man, please contact him. Maybe if you need collaborations, who knows, clothing brand, who knows. He's some hot stuff. Give your social media right here.
Alrighty, so Jean Carlo Salazar. My Instagram is at @SalazarJ_98. And I just want to say thank you so much. I mean, I'm honored and elated to be here. Thank you to Five Stars Realty, you, Guillermo, Jancy. Like really, there's a whole production team and a whole series of people to just make this podcast happen. And I've been following you guys for a while, and I'm honestly flattered and honored that you asked me to be here. So I just want to say thank you so much, and please have me back. I want to come back.
I think it has been the longest episode, but it's because it's such a good information,
Okay, yes.
Thank you. We are so happy that you came, that he said yes. I told Guillermo, and he said, please bring him down. This man has to talk. Well, thank you so much. Here you have Jean Salazar.
Jean Carlo Salazar.
Jean Carlo Salazar. And if you like this episode, please comment, share it, like it. And I hope to see you in the next one. Bye-bye.